Hey, good to see y'all. Welcome to the Jeff Ahern show for Friday. Maybe not want to wear as white a shirt next time. Just looking at myself in here, and it's all. I mean, I'm pretty pasty to begin with. This white shirt ain't helping the situation, is it? Regardless, welcome to the show where we discuss the week's nonsense, the week's news, the week's the week of the week. That's what we're talking about. And by week, I mean feeble. let's start with Joe Biden. But before I get into that, before I bag on Joe, which I'm going to do momentarily, as I should, don't forget Ahern15 at Jeremy's Razors. Will save you 15% at Jeremy's Razors. And if you'd like, and you can, join me at jeffahern.com for all my newscasts there. I do them regularly, and that supports me. That's what keeps me going. So all that out of the way, let's talk Biden. So I'm a little gleeful. I'm actually a little gleeful about this. He's so corrupt. I mean, we've known he's been corrupt, and he's gotten so cocky with it. He's gotten so brazen with it because no one ever calls him on it. He's protected. He's a protected criminal. So the media never looks into it. The FBI is carrying his water, so to speak. They're hiding anything that comes in, like Hunter's laptop, which he sat on forever, and like these new tapes with him allegedly, phone calls of him or Hunter talking about $5 million in bribes from Burisma. You probably remember Burisma. That's where Hunter had a no-show job there. That's the company that Biden infamously blackmailed live on national TV when he said he wasn't going to give him the $1 billion of aid or $500 million of aid that the Ukraine wanted unless they took the prosecutor that was going after corrupt Burisma. And it was a very corrupt company, I think, throughout its entire existence. And at the same time was simultaneously going after his son Hunter. He said, hey, if you don't get rid of this prosecutor going after my son, you're not getting the money. I leave in 2 hours. Make your decision. And then the media laughed at it. I mean, so it's no wonder that this man has spent his whole career being corrupt and getting away with it, and expecting to continue to get away with it. But it's so egregious now, and there's more than just the mainstream media. The mainstream media would cover up for all this. They would, and they still are trying to. God bless their hearts. They are still trying desperately to cover for Biden, to create something else to look at, say Trump's indictment on much less serious charges, on charges that Biden himself could be brought up on right now. He had classified documents as well, or Obama, or Clinton, or Bush. They've all, at some point got classified documents somewhere. I mean, any one of them could be, and to announce the indictment at the exact same moment that all this bribery stuff's coming out. The mainstream media has given 0 minutes of coverage to an enormous bribery scale. And this is just what we've got tapes on. I mean, there's so much money going around in this Biden family from different, corporate entities and government entities and foreign nationals, and their 20 plus shell companies, and the media looks into none of it. I like to make jokes, but it's just so sickening that this is where we live, the state that we live in terms of a non-objective media. And so the cracks are in the dam and the water's sprouting through, and there's places you can go now to get information like this. And there's people who are just talking about it. And this is an example here of Elise Stefanik out of New York. She says, and rightfully so, and I believe this to be true too, this is the biggest political corruption scandal of my lifetime, and it's not going away. It isn't. Biden is getting hit on it now, not by, of course, liberal media. Liberal media is, won't ask him anything that they haven't had pre-approved by the Biden administration, whoever's actually calling the shots, not Joe. And I mean, Joe has toned down his corruption substantially, but only because of his, he's a doddering, senile old fool. But he's still got enough going on up here to know he's crooked and to be even. To just kind of be in your face about it. He was asked about the bribery by one reporter, and he said, show me the money. He didn't say I didn't do it. He didn't say, no, well, that's ridiculous. I'm an honest man. How could you? I am appalled that you would accuse me of such a crime. No, he said, show me the money. Show me the money. Well, we got the tapes, Joe. It's the next best thing. And I'm going to guess that money's been siphoned through one of your 20 plus shell companies. So that'll take a little more digging. But, I think we'll eventually get it there once we get the tapes. it's all kind of busting up around you, Joe. It's all starting to come down around you, and the liberal media can't protect you anymore, and the FBI can't protect you anymore. Although they're all going to try like hell, and the Department of Justice can't try. You can try and distract, you can try and go after Trump. It's like there's a massive bonfire of Biden's corruption over here, and they're like, "Hey, look, I got a sparkler with Trump on it." Oh, you're still looking over there? Okay. So it's grotesque, the amount, and the part really that upsets me the most isn't Biden's corruption. I mean, it's that I would be more surprised if he wasn't as corrupt. It's all this. I mean, it's the man's lied throughout his whole career. He's a notorious racist, big segregationist guy. Just now he's switched gears, supposedly, and now he's finally it's his comeuppance, if you will. Although how many years does this guy have left? It's not much of a comeuppance, is it? So let me just read some of this because it's just fascinating because it's so in your face. It's so right there. And the media will cover none of it. The leftist media covers absolutely none of it. After President Biden lashed out at reporters at the White House, critics have noted the difference between President Trump's treatment and his. Yeah, exactly. And just before I go to it, another reporter asked him, like, "Hey, what about the bribery scandal?" And in that report, he's like, and he just laughed and walked off. And now he's getting mean. He's getting tired of it. Third time around that you've actually had a reporter able to ask him a question, which is also a minor miracle. The way his staff protects him from actually having to field or answer any questions that aren't pre-screened. And he told him it was a dumb question. He's like, it's a dumb question. Okay, Joe. Okay. Joe Biden, by the way, when he's not, hiding from all these bribery allegations, wants to build a railroad on top of the Indian Ocean. You can look that one up on YouTube. It's like, we're going to build a railroad across the Indian Ocean. This is our president. This is who Democrats are like, yeah, okay. And I understand why the Democrat Party elites did it. Because he's a straw man. Whoever's actually running the show, he's very easy. He's like, okay, go. I mean, I say it's very easy. It's actually more difficult than it is actually kind of difficult because Biden is so senile and so just out of it, and out of touch. You can tell him not to say things, but he's just going to say whatever he wants, and none of that's going to make any sense. So then you got to walk it back. I'm about to go off script, so I'm going to have to walk it back. Who are they? Who are they? And in these days with the pronouns, you don't know, is they one person? Could be. Huh? It's like, hey, or they. It's he, now he's they. Or is it they? Is it plural? I hate reading news stories now. I never know how many people they're talking about. They were very angry. Is that one person now? Is this a group of people? Could you tell me how many theys there are? Is there theys within the they? Is there they? There's three people, but one of them is also a they. So these two are okay with it, but they over here weren't. It's madness. It's just liberal. But I'm digressing greatly. So Biden is crooked as hell, and it's all coming to roost, and it's glorious. It's absolutely glorious because they can't stop it, and they've just gotten. It's their own fault. It's their own arrogance, their own cockiness. They've been protected for so long by our corrupt media, by our corrupt justice systems, entities, FBI, DOJ, that they just have they've gotten beyond careless. They never thought it would ever come. The guy's son has got a laptop full of porn. He's smoking crack, and there's hookers everywhere. There's more hookers than files on this thing, or every file's a hooker. And yet the media doesn't cover it. If that was one of the Trump boys, could you? I mean, it would be nonstop. It's the double standard, the complete lack of. When you went into journalism, did you just go, how quick can I sell out to the left? I mean, that's anyone at CNN. They had one guy, they brought this guy, Chris Lichten or whatever, in to try and right the ship or maybe make it a little more right because their ratings were falling off a cliff. And they needed to try and at least pretend to be centrist. And they couldn't handle it. They had to fire him. So what's going to happen now? You're just going to keep going off the cliff. Dopes, good. Y'all get fired. Y'all don't have jobs. Good. You don't do a service for anyone anyways. You just sit there and lie to people. It's not a service. Good. I'm glad. I just did a story on San Francisco. If you want to check it out, it's on jeffahern.com. Talking about, the madness of leftist progressivism, how it never works, doesn't work. There's no examples that not even in one city. We got, 50 50 states. We got, I don't know how many cities. And there's not one place in the whole damn country where progressivism has had a positive net return. And yet the left is like, more, less, please. So yeah, San Francisco. Businesses closing right and left. You got Target. Target's still in business, but everything's locked up. But you got Old Navy going. You got Nordstrom gone. Westfield Mall just left. You got the Meta slashing jobs, Twitter slashing jobs. I mean, and they had I think it was like they had 200 or near 300 businesses in the central district, and now it's down to like 107. They're running out of businesses. You're running out of places to steal from. You're running out of your tax base. And I have no sympathy. You deserve this. You all deserve this, because every time you have a chance to fix it, you're going to go, I'm going to go vote Democrat again because I guess I'm better. I don't know why I'm a country guy now. I like suspenders. I'm going to go vote for Biden, whoever the left tells me to vote for. Like, how bad? It doesn't matter how bad it gets. You wake up in the morning, open your door to the smell of urine because some bum just peed right next to your door, maybe next to your neighbor's door. And then you got to avoid walking on the poops. And then you got to look at all the bashed out car windows from all the smash and grabs. And people got to leave their car doors open and the windows down. So just so thieves have an easier time rummaging through so they don't break out the glass. I mean, what kind of life? And then everyone's shooting up all over the place, and people, the OD deaths there are up 41% over last year. Because of the warm, compassionate left, who's basically like, yeah, you can kill yourself. We know you might hit bottom, or you could have gone through, if we had you arrested or actually enforced law here, you would have had the withdrawal symptoms. And those would have been painful. You would have been alive. You might have actually even gotten out of your spiral. But instead, they did, here's more supplies. Here's some food. Just, keep going until you kill yourself. Aren't we great? Look how compassionate we are. Everyone get a look. Give me on camera. Look, I'm handing needles to this guy. You got New York handing out free crack pipes and vending machines. I don't know. When you're that stupid, when you have a voting constituency that dumb that it doesn't matter how bad things get in front of them, how horrible their cities are, how violent and murderous. You have no cash bail. You look at no cash bail. People where do these criminals go back to generally? They go back to where they were taken from, right? So you got a minority community, let's say, or any community, but you're seeing the majority of the crime in minority communities. You got like a murderer, a rapist, an arsonist, whatever, some horrible person. And they're arrested. They're taken off the street. The community momentarily is better for it. It's safer for it. And then immediately they get to jail. They make it that far, and they're released again. They're right back into the very same community that probably would have liked them gone. Would have liked it if they didn't come back, doing the same thing until they go to jail again briefly, fill out some paperwork, or until the computer processes, and then they're right back again. And then this is progress. This is social justice. This is insanity. It's absolute insanity. I'm speechless. I don't know how do you communicate to leftist voters that what they're doing to themselves. Try the other party. I mean, I love Trumpisms. Could it get any worse? I mean, the man is blunt and he's honest, and that was one of my favorite lines. Can it get any worse? Probably not. So here's the mainstream media is going back to Biden and the Burisma scandal that to them doesn't exist, never has apparently, because it's been going on forever in different one way or another. But according to Newsbusters, ABC, CBS, and NBC had zero seconds of coverage between June 8th and June 12th. But they did have plenty of coverage on the Trump indictment. You see a pattern? I would hope so. Yeah. So and then of course there's the references to the big guy. I wonder who the big guy is. And then Trump's like, "Oh, you're the big guy, Joe." And the media's like, "Oh, that's a Russian disinformation." Is it really? It's not anymore, is it? 2 years after the fact, after it helped swing the election of Biden, suddenly, oh yeah, that was all real. But we're still not going to cover any of it. Yeah, we won't. No, not a chance. Not going to happen. Oh, this is on Fox here, of course. Top Biden campaign aides connection to son Hunter revealed in bombshell scandal. So the president's got his people working with Hunter to cover up all of Hunter's misdeeds. Nothing, not really a revelation. Just more piling up of the facts of the corruption of the Biden administration. It's nonsense. RFK, this is on Fox, tells Joe Rogan he has to be careful the CIA doesn't assassinate him. Oh, God. I'm laughing because RFK not doing himself any favors with statements like that. I mean, a lot of what RFK says, Robert Jr., I can agree with it. I do believe the fix was in with his uncle, with JFK, and I am leaning towards it. That probably was a hit. It's just too weird. None of it really makes sense in any other aspect unless it was like, say, a CIA or something like that hit. But then to be like, the CIA is going to assassinate you. I don't know. CIA hasn't really been in the news lately. I don't think Joe's going to get assassinated. But hey, at this point, I just don't see that happening. But I say that, but God, maybe he's right. Maybe Joe does need to be careful because the left is losing it. They're losing. When I say they're losing it, they're losing control over the narrative they have. They're losing control over the one place corrupt media. Now you have multiple sources. You have Musk coming along, opening up Twitter. You have people that they go to like try and take down Tucker. They're like, we're going to take him down because of this. He's going to get kicked off Fox. Now he's just doing his own thing there, and he's got more views than ever. The message is getting out because people are tired of being lied to, and now people are actively looking for truth. In the past, they just sat passively and they would just listen to whatever the news BS was and what was coming to them. They were, all right, I guess we'll go to another station, same thing, same BS, same narrative, usually the same words out of different broadcasters' mouths, but the scripts were the same. The ones they handed them to them from up high or down low, really, if you're talking about the Democrat Party. Well, people are like, wait a minute, I got options now. I can look around. I can actually get real news. I can get real information. I can make my own decisions. I don't have to be a conscript to the government, and then of course you got the, COVID comes along, and then the government's like, hey, here's a chance to, get them back together, get them under our control again. And so they bring in all these crazy draconian measures. The businesses have to shut down and the schools, but there are still non-liberal states where it's open. And what happens? It gives you another glorious example of what happens when you have open freedom governance versus corrupt, dictatorial, just massive overreach of government. And you see the difference in which states thrive and which didn't, where people move to and where they move from. And it's never from a state with more freedom to a state with less freedom. I mean, again, that won't ever get covered in the news, but it's pretty clear. And the problem I have with that, why wouldn't you do that? Is you get these dopes leftists who've ruined their own cities, their own states, and then they move to ones that are good, and then their stupid votes are going to ruin those. They're like lice. Conor McGregor's in the news, and I saw this yesterday. I do some shows on Rumble also, so I did cover this yesterday. But yeah, even at the time, I was like, and as more comes out, it's kind of looking that way. This could just be a shakedown. It could just be a shakedown because apparently now the woman, first of all, yesterday there wasn't the video. TMZ released some video. But yesterday, the woman was like, okay, he assaulted me in this bathroom, and the security, prevented people from coming in, and, I'm a victim here. But the part that stuck out of my head, I'm like, ooh, this seems off, was the fact that she's like, well, if you don't want me to press charges, I'd be willing to just get like a lump sum payment, a buyout from Conor McGregor and I guess the Nuggets organization. I'm like, all right. I mean, you got no. This is like the worst shakedown ever. Like you gotta know how to do a shakedown, lady. You can't say that out loud. You have to be like, I'm gonna take him to jail. You're gonna burn for this. This is horrible. Hey, all women come support me. Everybody come support me. Psst, by the way, if you want it to go away, you can pay me some money. You said the soft part loud. You came out before you did all the other stuff and went, hey, if you wanted to go away, pay me. Oh, also, see, I was attacked. So now they've got video coming out today showing that she very willingly apparently walked into this bathroom with him. Why are you walking into a men's bathroom with the dude? He's not dragging her. They're walking in. They're going to have a nice time in there. And then the security's like, okay, everyone, they're having a nice time in there. There's some credibility issues, let's just say, on her part. Some serious credibility issues. But, we'll see. Who knows? I know you're supposed to just no matter what, but believe whatever, if it's a woman says, although we can't anymore because there's no such thing as a woman. That's a quandary, isn't it? That's a quandary. Leftist, you didn't quite think of that one through. King Charles Oh, King Charles news. What do you know? King Charles blindsided as Meghan Markle's Suits show makes cunning move. I thought Suits was over. I'm not even going to read that. I don't know. I have to check that out later. That's a wormhole. I don't feel like going down right at this moment. CEO Bud Light still can't get out of the news. They're their own worst enemy, quite obviously, quite frankly. So Bud Light CEO still hasn't apologized. And that's the only thing that's going to turn that. At this point, I don't even think that'll help. So maybe why bother at this point? But they had an opportunity to be like, hey, sorry, we to the people who drink our beer, which is majority, not like a super. I don't think it's a super trans demographic. Bud Light. I don't think it ever was. It was a stunt casting thing. Like, look how woke we are. Okay, let's go back to selling beer. Get their woke points and get the hell out. And it backfired on them enormously. And then they basically are just continue to crap on their regular drinkers, people who just want to drink beer and not be hit with political messages when they're sucking down some suds. So rather than say, hey, sorry, we were just called out for what it is. We were trying to get some woke points. Just if they'd been honest, it would have worked. But they still even haven't apologized. They said, hey, look, we saw an opportunity. She's really popular. We want to get some woke points. That's the big thing now. We wanted to look woke, so we had her on. Yeah, it wasn't the best decision. We're sorry. We know you're our loyal supporters. Live your life the way you want, but we're on team. Who buys our beer? Now, here's the thing: if their market was trans, like if Bud Light was the biggest beer in the trans community, then yeah, well, that would make sense. Why wouldn't you? Every commercial would be trans and rainbow flags and unicorns jump through the sky and farting rainbows or whatever, because that's your market. That makes sense. That's a logical decision. But to be woke, the wokeness just rots your mind. You just Target's another great example. You could have just had Pride Month, Pride Month, whatever. You had your Pride merchandise, and you kept it in the, all the sections are the same. But when you go on, like, here, be proselytized, preach. It's aggressive. People just want to go buy underwear. They want to get some socks, maybe pick up a throw pillow. They probably sell throw pillows. They don't want to be lectured to. They don't want to be told how to live their life. I'm just coming to the store to get some supplies. I want to get some detergent. And then of course, the real issue is they're recruiting. They got for little tiny kids. They got tuckers or whatever you want to call them. You can tuck your junk in. What the hell? Kids be kids. Their stupidity is beyond bounds. Beyond bounds.
It's me again. I was listening as I was getting ready and everything, but I did have a question for you. There was a flip side to this whole argument that I haven't heard you address and everything when it comes to the beer and the wine, but I do remember a time not that long ago when certain beers got into trouble and certain liquors got into trouble because it seemed like they were specifically targeting the African-American community, whether that was hiring a rapper to be their spokesperson or whether that was giving brands a certain kind of names and a number of other things. And they got a lot of flack for that and all in that space. So it seems like they had the opposite reaction, and definitely there wasn't as much uproar during those times from certain communities as there are now. But I do remember that there was a time that people were feeling that they were specifically targeting certain communities because that was the market that they wanted to increase their market share in. And they did a number of ways of doing that, including some questionable commercials.
Well, it sounds like the issue wasn't that they were going after the African-American market. The issue seems to be the way they chose to do it. It's from what you're saying. Yes. So it was like a good idea, but it was executed poorly.
Yes. Yes.
I don't even know. I have to look that stuff up. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a smart business move, but you gotta think through your advertising, man, through a better lens than I guess whatever the hell they were using or smoking. I don't know.
And sometimes you got to wonder about what they were
commercials you're talking
everything. About. I just remember there were several things that were done in that space. As a matter of fact, there was even a case where Dove was dropped an ad because they were accused of racism. So definitely there seems to be some advertising that is
that one,
racially motivated, and a lot of people still are not the biggest fans of the Aunt Jemima syrup and a number of other things. So there is some people that are questioning whether some ads may have a racial bias and an intentional racial bias, and all in that space. So that is
I think there probably are ads that have intentional racial bias. If I don't know, depending on who your market is. If your majority market is African American, I would think your commercials would be racially biased towards African American. I would, if it's Asian, I would think it just make from a marketing standpoint that would just make sense to me. Like, why are you going to market to your not your core audience unless you want them to bring them in, which is fine. But at the same time, you don't want to lose your core audience. You know, I don't know.
Like I said, the case of the Dove ad, and that was like several years back before the pandemic. But apparently, the ad showed somebody using Dove, and then they had to apologize because it showed a black woman turning into a white woman after she used the Dove product and all along those lines. So that would seem like problems going on there in that particular ad, and that doesn't seem like that was the smartest move.
What the hell? Now I remember. I'm like, what the hell was that commercial? That when you said, I'm like, oh my god, yeah, that's that was the Bud Light of whatever year that was. You know,
yeah, I think it was like 2017, but that's what I'm saying. There have been some ads that have been in that space where folks have even questioned why they were targeting certain groups, because definitely they were, even in some cases, targeting underage groups in certain racial organizations and everything else along those lines. So definitely that is where people have gotten into things. And now there's that ad that some people love, some people don't, that features Snoop Dogg, but also two actors. And also I think it features in one of them Peyton Manning and a number of others, but they're going back and forth, including some dialogue as to whether they even understand some of the lingo and everything, because there's some jokes about lingo.
People having fun with each other, you know, that's what makes me mad. Like, okay, you got Snoop Dogg, and then you got like a real like white dude, like Peyton Manning's that's a pretty white guy. That's great. I mean, that's what you need. You need back and forth and give and take, and no one's getting offended, and you're just having a good time. Everyone's looking to be offended. My feelings. Oh, you shouldn't have said. Shut up.
That whole
like Don Rickles. You know, Don Rickles are going and just like tear everybody apart, group by group, race by race, pop, everyone get hit. And we all laughed, and it was delightful. And now
Don Rickles attacked folks, and Richard Pryor attacked folks. And
Richard Pryor is a great example. I mean, as long as everyone's getting hit, then it's like, hey, we can all laugh at each other and enjoy each other, you know. But those days, unfortunately, are you know, they're disappearing. Like, you know, you got your Chappelle's now. You know, he's doing just fine. But you know, you'll have these theaters here that are like, hey, we can't come to our theater. Okay, he'll go to the theater next door and sell that out. Dummies.
He'll find his way to get his money, whatever that money is. He's going to get paid. I did have to teach you about journalists, because I was listening as I was preparing to go to this event that I've got to go to and everything. But as I was preparing and still preparing, I did have to teach you about journalists, because I am proud of that field. It is exactly the field that I have my degree in.
Probably a legitimate journalist.
But I was watching sports reporting and all in that line, and I have decided that reporters in general, because you mentioned the questions that they asked Biden, and I've heard some of the questions they've asked Trump. But then I was watching the NBA championships. Congratulations to Denver, and also the even though I didn't see this, the hockey championships. Congratulations to the Las Vegas team and all in that space. But this is a question I've got to ask you. You were in the comedy world. I brought this up to another friend as well. After the championship, they hold a press conference, and they usually hold it after the celebration. One of the teams is drunk. I mean, that's just the nature of the game. They've just won. They're drunk, so they're not going to give you really good answers. And then the reporters ask silly questions like, now that your team has won, what does it feel like to be a champion? And now that your team has won, what does it feel like to bring the championship to Denver? So like I said, these are kind of like basic and in some ways asinine questions and everything.
And softball things they can handle while drunk.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not only that, but the other team is usually just lost, and they've just lost the championship. So they're not going to answer questions either that well either. They're going to be a little salty. They're going to be a little salty in their answers. So I am personally thinking that we need to do away with the press conference after the championship, because one team is drunk and the other team is salty. So I don't know that we're going to get any authentic answers during that
Yeah,
time. Maybe we got to wait a day or two after they've had a chance to process what they have done. And I know that they do it after every game, including the games leading up to the championship. But the championship game, you're drunk. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
you're
but
drunk.
they get fined if they don't. Like these players get fined if they don't make themselves available for the press conferences. But yeah, no, people want to see the excitement, and they also want to see the loss. I mean, that's like, oh my God, this team won, and they want to. They're like, oh, look how happy they are. So they don't care what they're even saying. They're just like, oh, look, he's laughing, he's having a great. And then the other team is like, oh, he looks peeved. He missed that shot. He looks upset. You know, they want to see
they look
very
emotional.
They're more there for the emotion of the teams and experiencing that than I think they are for actually the questions or whatever's coming out of their mouths. Because you're right, it's neither's going to be accurate, you know, one way or the other. One's going to be heavily negative, one's going to be like, oh, you know, oh, over the moon, ma.
Over the moon. And I mean, one of the athletes, I think it was Aaron Gordon, was basically like, yeah, I've got this drink and everything. So like I said, and they were some people that gave him a hard time, and I don't know what your thoughts about it, but one of the comments that I heard on social media was somebody was making the parallel between John Morant, who was flashing a gun, and apparently Aaron Gordon, who was flashing liquor. And they were saying that both of them are negative imagery and all in that space. But
no,
I think that one is different than the other.
Completely different nonsense. Whoever would make that comparison, that's absurdity and idiocy. It's that guy's excited he won a game. Now, if you'd said he was holding a gun after he won the game, then okay, it's a legit comparison.
Right. No, he just had a bottle. He just had a bottle
of liquor.
Yeah, they got a bottle of Moet, which can be a stereotypical drink in the African American community. So I think it was a bottle of Moet champagne or whatever that liquor is, but it is definitely one that is stereotyped in the hip hop and young community and everything.
Is he not allowed to drink the champagne he likes anymore because it offended somebody? You got to go get a more centrist champagne.
That would make no sense to me, but you got people that probably want folks. You got folks that probably are upset at the brand because they're probably like, that brand is too minority oriented or whatever. But
the guy likes it. Like you can't even drink what you like anymore. I don't know what they got to do research on. What has the best LGBTQ rating and which is the most in the middle as in terms of who has the most liberal policy. Just give me more champagne.
And I'm sure that's what he was saying. We're just giving more champagne, that we're also pouring it on each other. There's always that ritual as to who is going to get the coaches and all in that space. And, a lot of times the coaches will try to hide. They usually get drenched at some point or another, but they do occasionally try to at least avoid getting hit, whether it's football or basketball or whatever.
In your eyes. You always see people like the smart ones, they put on glasses before, they put goggles on so they don't have to, they could see after. Anyone who doesn't, they're just like this the whole back. Yeah, it's great. We won.
We won.
It's like they got maced.
Yep. The liquor mace version.
Yeah, very very high end. See, I drank Monet. I didn't realize I was crossing racial boundaries.
You didn't know? Yeah, if you go to certain hip hop venues, then that is one that is very popular. I want to say Cristal is another one that is very popular. Which ones are
the popular ones? Monet
Cristal.
And what's the other? Oh,
Cristal.
Yeah. Well, Cristal's a little out of my price range right now, Mark. See.
Cristal is not exactly cheap.
No, a little out of my normal, but I get the White Star, man. That stuff's 30. I don't know if I'm allowed to. That's plus it's got the word white in it. That's probably not good, but it's good. It's like $30, $50. Solid champagne. That's a good budget champagne right there.
I wonder if the sandwich shops ever get that question, if they're ever raised that question, if that is a problem. Because I know that usually if you go to a Subway store or any restaurant, they will ask you if you want it on white bread or wheat. So I guess there are some people that could take that in a certain kind of way and everything.
Anyone could be offended by anything if they try hard enough. You just have to have the will. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
I will be offended today. Oh my God!
You just have to find a way to get offended, huh?
Yeah, you can be offended by anything. You can find something offensive about my tie, this chair. I mean, you just got to look and try and finagle hard enough to get offended, or you can just be happy. People ought to go that route.
But are there certain things that you should be offended by? I'm imagining that.
But those are egregious. Those you don't have to think about. You're like, oh my God, what did he say? Yeah, I'm very offended by that. That's legit. But that's like,
imagine if you're in your house and you are invaded by ants. That would be something to be offended by. Now, the ants might not be offended because the ants are taking over your house and everything. But I would imagine that would be something that you might be offended by, the ants invading your space and all of that.
Upset. I feel like upset would be a better word. I don't know that I'd be offended. I'd definitely be upset. I might be offended that my landlord hadn't, addressed the problem. If it had happened more than once, then I might be offended. What am I, nothing? Am I chopped liver? The ants are back. Come on.
But I'm saying, but on the flip side of that, and I'm just giving you a hard time because I like doing that to you, Jeff. Do the ants have a right to organize and to do their own protest? Because the ants might say that they have as much right to your house as you have to your house.
Squatters. Now I got squatter ants. You're not wrong. Based on some liberal city laws, all you got to do is get some furniture in that house while the person's out. And sorry, it's their place now, or they're your roommate.
Well, speaking of which, I do have to ask you a question because there are 3 states that apparently Mother Nature does not like, and they were attacked recently. 2 of them are conservative states. One of them, I will admit, is a liberal state and everything. Uh-oh. But what is going on with Florida, Texas, and California, and also in another liberal state as well, and Louisiana, that they are constantly attacked by Mother Nature? Does Mother Nature not like these 4 states because of their politics, or what's going on? Because every time you turn around, those 4 states are getting attacked. They were just recently attacked by another tornado and all in that space. So is Mother Nature, God, whatever force or name you want to give it, upset at these 4 states? And is he choosing to, or she choosing to leash out at these 4 states? Because I did see that was in the news again today. And oftentimes it is these 4 states, 2 that are red and 2 that are blue to some degree.
See, God's evening it out. He's like, yeah, you get a little, you get a little. Well, I know that's just randomization. That's there's no divine justice going on or divine punishment. That's just you're unlucky. You live in a area with a bad climate for certain stuff. California got mudslides, and that's the big one here, and of course earthquakes. But in New Orleans, you got like the floods, and then obviously big rainstorms. Same thing with Florida. And then Texas, Texas, you get the high winds. And I guess, I don't really think of Texas having terrible weather, but it's so flat. Once something comes in, there's nothing to slow it down, It's just like,
yeah, just going to go running right through.
Roll tide.
Roll tide. Yeah, I found out that one of my buddies, that's where he's going to be hanging out at. He's going to be hanging out with Nick Saban. I didn't even know they were buddies, but yeah, I could not get a job, or nobody was given a job to Doc Rivers, but I did see that recently he said he was going to be hanging out with Nick Saban, because apparently him and Nick Saban are friends. So while he's looking, he might do some color commentating and announcing, since he was not picked for one of those teams after Philadelphia left him alone and let him go and everything. But when I was reading about him, he said, yeah, he's going to spend some time hanging out with Nick Saban. And I was going like, I didn't know you and Nick were buddies, but apparently him and Nick are buddies.
I'm sure that'll be a good time. Hopefully get some commentator work. That'll probably be that's a good gig. A
good gig.
Blowing up on his politics. You can't be a commentator though these days without, at least on
he has stepped out on some issues, because he came out around some stuff around Black Lives Matter and a number of other issues that he did during the heart of the lockdown of the first year and everything. And I think a couple of other times that incidences took place, whether that was Floyd or a number of things. But, you can be conservative and be a commentator. Charles Barkley is very conservative.
Oh, my God. I love Charles. He's my favorite because he calls everyone. I like him and Shaq because Charles, I don't know, he always puts his foot in his mouth. Something actually says sexual innuendo. And then Shaq just starts laughing at him. I like that. That's a good team for me. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Charles. He calls it out. He calls out both sides. That's why I like him, because he doesn't he's not just going to hit the left, not going to hit he just hits whoever needs hitting.
He hits both of them. He is very fair. That's what I like, folks. That hit both sides.
That's it. He's fair.
He is fair. He hits both sides, and that is what you do. Hit the left to him quite a bit, but you do hit the right on occasion.
Occasionally, I got to go hard on the left because I'm more worried about all my freedoms and liberties being taken away. I had another, I'm rarely on TikTok, but I had another video taken down censorship. For what? I was on Dianne Feinstein being real old and senile. That got taken down. What about? Is that not true? Am I lying?
Yeah, I mean, but do you have anything to say about the Miami Latin person that wants to be president along with DeSantis? Because Frank Suarez, I think, stands little to no chance, but apparently he's throwing his name into the hat and all in that space just because he's able to run Miami. So he's able to run Miami now. He thinks he can run the country.
But here's the thing, like, and I don't know if I said it here or someplace else, but but the fact that he could be in the primary. Like there'll be a primary. He could be a speaker there, and he could debate with DeSantis. He could debate with Trump or whoever else is, in the mix. The Democrat side, are getting rid of it. There's no primary debates. That's how weak Biden is. They won't let anyone, they won't let Robert Kennedy Jr. They won't let Marianne Williamson, whoever else is running on the left, debate him in a public forum. That should terrify Democrats as a whole. And it does. They're like, oh, okay, I guess we're voting for Joe again.
Yeah, but you got other people that are complaining, and I think that they are rightfully complaining, and particularly some of our young folks, including some that are your fellow conservatives, that I don't know that I am overexcited about the 80-year-old against the high 70-year-old, and that has got some issues as well. We've got to have some better candidates, and I would agree with you than Trump and Biden. So I think that there's got to be better candidates.
DeSantis and Nikki Haley. I'll take Trump over Biden any day, but I would go. DeSantis is my favorite, and I really like Nikki Haley. I think she's really good too. She's underrated.
No, but this is the Jeff Dream World. So the Jeff Dream World. So let's just say you said that you would take DeSantis over Nikki, but it'd be close. Who would you like DeSantis to run against other than Biden? So let's eliminate it.
I don't care who he runs against. I don't care who he runs against Biden. If the Democrats want to throw that dope up again, okay. They're
no, you got to be fair.
I hope he runs against Biden. I hope they have a debate. That the Democrats allow it. I would love for Biden to run again.
No, but wouldn't a DeSantis, Robert Kennedy race be interesting? Or better yet, we could have the Indian debate and everything, because both of them claim their Indian heritage. So maybe it's Nikki Haley against Kamala.
Well, Nikki Haley is legit. I think Kamala might be too. I don't know a lot about Kamala. I think she is actually Indian.
Yeah, she's partially Indian.
Yeah. All right, so that could be interesting. But yeah, I'll take either of those matchups. I like them both. I like my side on both of those. I like Nikki Haley over Kamala easily, and I like DeSantis over Joe easily. So yeah, I'll take either of those matchups. I like them both.
Well, what about DeSantis against Robert? They could have a whole debate about
the Democrats will never let him in. They won't even let him debate Biden right now because he's not like a hardcore, lockstep leftist. His opinion on vaccines is completely out of the box for left. Oh my God, freedom of choice. You can choose whether or not you want a vaccine. The government doesn't have complete control of your lives. No, we can't have that guy. Don't even let him debate Biden. So that alone, and Joe Kennedy or Robert Kennedy Jr. is a little too conspiracy for me. I mean, some of the stuff I'm like, okay, I think the CIA probably again had something to do with his dad or his uncle, JFK, getting whacked. But then there's other stuff where you're like, it's a little too much on the gas on that issue there.
So you can't see that going. You can't see him having a.
But anyone who's asking for freedom of choice, so I'm like, okay, that's a step up for a Democrat, which is why the Democrat Party wants to destroy him and is actively, character assassinating him and not letting him speak on any of their forums. And but luckily, other people are like Elon Musk or say Russell Brand. I don't, these other big reach Joe Rogan people who are able to give him a platform to speak when the Democrat Party tries to shut him down. So, but that's the left. That's the left against the left.
No, but there's these things called lobbies as well, and I don't think that the Republicans or the Democrats have a kind of a rule or a control over any of those, because I mentioned earlier the gun lobby, and of course there's that lovely lobby, the pharmacist lobby, that I think puts a lot of money into both the Republicans and the Democrats, and is basically funding the addiction of America and all
the opioid epidemic. That's how they stay in business. And now they're with the vaccine mandates, they have a steady supply of customers now who have to get vaccines. And if you have kids in certain liberal states, they have to all get these vaccines to even go to school, or you got to homeschool them, which these days might not be a bad idea based on some of the schools that are available. But It's disgusting.
Yeah, like I said, some of them are run by folks in whole different countries. Because, like I said, I think Glaxo is in England. I think one of them, Ron Ponick, is in France. So they're in a number of places that don't even have the same rules and regulations that we do.
They want to be loosey goosey, you know. They want to, you know, have the tax benefits wherever they are, and then have the least amount of legal restrictions to run their business the way they see fit. You know, which I don't blame them. It actually makes sense.
Does make sense. I'm gonna bounce off, let you have your last 10 or 15 minutes. But
I think I'm out of gas, Mark. I think I'll look around. I'll see what else I got. But yeah, I'm running out. It was great talking to you, buddy. Because I cough a little. All right, so let's check out real quick. We'll go to New York Post here. See what they got. New York Post. Let's see what do you got. New York Post. Boom. Oh yeah, this is more of the Connor stuff. Again, I feel like this is a very suspect victim. At the end of the day, it's a he said, she said. But I feel like as more information comes out about the accuser, it's not going to be positive for her. Just a guess, just my gut. But yeah, the thing that really kind of that turned me off on that was the fact that she was less interested in pressing legal charges than she wasn't getting money. It seems it's kind of got shakedown written on it. And again, you can't be like, oh, we got to believe her. She's a woman. There's no such thing as a woman, according to the left. NBA announces length of Jay Morant suspension for latest gun. This guy, come on, man. I mean, he's making all this money. He could just be playing basketball. What is wrong with you that you have to be waving why? Why don't you just wave a gun and not show everybody? Sit in your house and for 2 hours a night, wave a gun around. Okay. You can go play basketball and not be suspended without pay for 25 games or whatever it is. It's still just as crazy. I mean, and you got to suspend that. That's a nut. That's a nut. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's empire is crumbling. Yes, it is.
It's me again. More power to Adam Silver. He is a Duke graduate and everything, so I guess he's trying to be tough love on Ja Morant since he is the head of the NBA. Got to do something with
this guy before it goes off the deep end. Although technically, I feel like he's already a little off the deep end. You know.
Yeah, he might already be off the deep end. But yeah, Adam Silver is definitely a Duke graduate, so definitely he is doing, I guess, his part to try to enforce the rules of the NBA.
Yeah, and just get him some help. Get him. I mean, he's still got a shot. He's not so far gone. He hasn't shot anybody yet, to my knowledge. You know, so now it's just waving guns. But that would be the next logical progression.
Yeah, man, I got the gun. I might as well just fire it.
Yeah, I got a gun. Everyone's tired of me just waving it. If I want more views, I'm gonna have to actually start pulling the trigger on it a couple times. And then you wind up like what, Ray Caruth or who's the guy who like shot his
who was the guy that shot his friend that I think was a Republican, and I forgot who it was.
Oh, that was Cheney. Cheney shot his friend in the face.
Right. They were on a hunting trip, and he was going,
whoops.
I didn't mean to shoot you.
Sorry about your face.
You sounded like a moose. I thought you were the moose.
Yeah, your red jacket's more of or your orange jacket's more of a green. Got a green hue. I got hue. Yeah, Cheney shot his friend in the face, but he didn't die, and he didn't press charges, to my knowledge. But yeah, there was that other guy who shot his he got in a fight with his driver or something, and he shot him, and they tried to. I can't remember who that was. I can't remember if that was Ray Caruth or someone else. I think it might have been someone else. I think Ray Caruth shot his girlfriend. Had his girlfriend shot or something.
Yeah, speaking of Rays and everything, I did hear some sad news in the world of sports, but everybody knows the athlete Ray Lewis, and apparently his very young son, at the age of 28, recently passed away, and all in that space, and it was only a youngster and had not even got a chance to follow in the footsteps of his.
That's awful.
Yeah, that was very awful and everything. But yeah, I was looking at news items and saw that recently that and like I said, he was only 28.
That's the prime of your life, man. That's awful.
That is very awful. But yeah, that was something that I did see in the news that was very sad. So our condolences do go out to the Lewis family.
Yeah, that's horrible, man. I feel like that's like the worst thing for a parent is to, survive your child, so to speak, especially at such a young age. That's just awful.
Yeah, And such a the Baltimore Ravens player and everything. But past it 28.
Yeah, geez. That's awful. That's awful. Yeah.
That is very sad and everything.
I got nothing to say. I got no comedy bits for that. That's for sure.
Can't have comedy bits on everything. I understand that.
I do, but not that. Just about everything. But that's just bad.
But speaking of comedy bits, is everybody get to be an influencer? Because I did reach out to a influencer recently that is an Instagram model, and I think they're in the tax space of all things. But I reach out to these different folks to be guests, and apparently they've got like millions of views. It was a young woman. You may even know her because I think that she's very liberal, and I mean not liberal, conservative, but her name is Elizabeth Duffy. And I did reach out to her, but apparently she is very much free market and has got some crazy Instagram amount of followings. But I'm going like, does everybody get to be an Instagram hero and an influencer these days? That you just have to like basically say that you're an influencer and automatically you are an influencer? Because I don't even know that you really have to have the millions of views that you claim to have. All you got to do is just
you got to have some good bikini photos. If you have good bikini photos, and you can send those, I'm an influencer. Look, here's me in a bikini, and people are like, oh, she looks pretty good in a bikini.
But does that only work for guys? Does that only work for girls? Because a guy in a bikini is not going to work.
Mostly, I mean, there's exceptions to the rule, but that's mainly the thirst traps are mainly female. I mean, you probably got some male ones out there too, but I don't think they do nearly as well.
And they're not doing it in their bikinis. Maybe they're doing it in their jock straps or something else along.
Something along those lines. Yeah, something to get you to click to see more. I mean, I'm sure they're out there, but I don't know. My algorithms is what it is. They show me. Here's more of what we think you like.
But that's the problem. You haven't done enough of that. We've got to get you with a. Hey, I figured it out, and this is where we can go as we wind up this particular show. But I've come with the Jeff Ahern strategy of marketing. So this is what we got to do. We've got to get you in a picture of Jeff in a jockstrap at a swimming pool drinking a bottle of Cristal, and then your ratings will go through the roof and everything along those lines. And
I like the comedy. I like the comedy element of it. I do like the comedy, and I do enjoy. I would enjoy a bottle of Cristal. So if they want me to be a sponsor, send a bottle, and then maybe I'll pose in a jock strap with like a baseball bat, so I can look butch and macho.
Yes, the baseball bat, the jock strap, the Cristal, and maybe we can even play to some of the other stereotypes of other ethnicities. So
let's make fun of everybody, and then it'll get a million views, and I'll be canceled everywhere. But it will for a brief moment.
Hey, I was just gonna send you a bowl of watermelon, so you go up to that view, and maybe some fried chicken as well. So that'll all be in the picture, and your views will go through the ratings.
Yeah, it will certainly up my profile, and I'll have a lot of people excited to see me when I leave my home.
Will they come looking for you?
No things, Abby.
You said they come looking for you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Wherever I am, it gets leaked, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, looks like I got to move." Okay, I've been trying to get out of California anyway, so it might be a good thing. It's good. It's going to be good.
We're a swing state now, North Carolina. So me and Rick, and Nick, the founders of the network, along with Kim, will be moving you to North Carolina soon, since we are
North Carolina. I've been to North Carolina a few times.
Well, we're a swing state, and I think you might like that because we never know which way we're going. As I like to jokingly say, but I'm only semi-joking when I say it. What other state do you know that can claim that they gave you both Jesse Helms and Terry Sanford? We gave you both of those.
Yeah, that's a big. I mean, that's a good spread. That's what you need. That's how you know it's a good state, because you got everybody, and then most people probably towards the middle. So
exactly,
good.
Yep,
I like that. All right, but I'm gonna cut out. I gotta take my son to camp.
No problem. Like I said, I'm going to throw on this shirt, and I've already done some of the other things, and I'm going to do these historical lectures on a part of the Durham history, meaning both Black Wall Street as well as maybe a little bit of the history of Juneteenth. So I'm going to see if anybody's actually on this bus, and next week I'll tell you whether I
want to know
in front of 5 people or whether I spoke in front of 100.
Take some pictures.
All right.
You don't need more buses.
Cool.
Give me a big crowd. All right, buddy. Have a good weekend. Bye. Bye, everybody. Have a great week, and I will see you back here next Friday. JeffAhern.com. Check it out. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you all soon. And I won't wear quite as white a shirt. Bye.
Hello and welcome to Newsday with Jeff Ahern. I'm your host, Jeff Ahern. Today's top story. Remember Harry's Razors, the company that stopped advertising with the Daily Wire after hearing something as innocuous as boys are boys and girls are girls? They called it inexcusable. Look, I know you're a grooming company, but you don't have to take the grooming part quite so literally. I'm surprised the razors don't come with a rainbow handle and a discount code for a sex change, especially after deciding to put their emphasis on pandering over product. But credit where credit is due. Their product is great at exfoliating. It exfoliated conservative customers right off of their balance sheet, taking a straight razor to profits and leaving a once loyal customer base with a really bad case of razor burn. And for what? Not being in lockstep with leftist wokeism? This has to be the greatest shaving blunder since someone gave Sweeney Todd a chair at the local barbershop. But who can blame Harry's Razors for buckling under the pressure of a Twitter user's complaints? I mean, this guy had 2 followers. Look out, Kim Kardashian. Here comes what's his face. And I bet one of his followers was probably trying to sell him crypto. Harry's claimed they were pulling their ads due to a values misalignment. What values? Woke grandstanding? Progressive preening? All you did with this woke publicity stunt was make your entire company as disposable as your razors. Because there's a new shave in town, Jeremy's Razors. Because I don't want another woke lecture. I want a tungsten handle, flip back trimmer, shave fit for a man. Blades sharp as truth that cut through bearded stubble like common sense cuts through liberalism. A razor for deep shaving deplorables, for flyovers with facial hair. A man's razor from a company still willing to admit there's such a thing as a man. Let Harry's go in on the trans market. I guess they figure those guys are going to shave more than most people anyways. Especially if they want to appear even remotely feminine. I mean, it's bad enough you're going to break every female sports record while sporting male genitalia. So why do you got to rub it in sporting a 5 o'clock shadow? It's time to take a stand against woke cancel culture with a great clean shave. And don't forget to lather up with Jeremy's shaving cream before you do. Made with green tea oil to calm irritation and reduce redness. Almond oil, which creates a cushion for your blade. And cocoa butter, which reduces bumps. All available at jeremy'srazors.com. Go there right now and use promo code AHERN15 to get 15% off your next purchase. Stick it to the man, or whatever Harry's identifies as. So head over to jeremy'srazors.com and tell them Jeff sent you.